Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Tundu Abiola.
Welcome back. I'm Veronica Odeka. Ireti Kingibe, who is the wife of the former Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Babangana Kingibe, was born on June the 2nd, 1954 in Kano, northwest of Nigeria. She had her early education at Emotown Preparatory School, Benin City, Queen's College, Lagos, and Washington Irving High School in the United States. Ireti was also a student of University of Minnesota, where she attained a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering in 1980. An accomplished engineer, she has executed key projects in Nigeria and the United States. Ireti has founded and continues to be on the boards of several NGOs, including Lifeline Care and Constitutional Rights Development Initiatives. Has been a member of the Northern Women's Political Forum and Nigerian Women Political Awareness Movement. Hajia Ireti Kingibe was the All-Nigerian People's Party senatorial candidate for the Federal Capital Territory in 2003 and has remained in active politics till date. She is also an active member of the Women for Change initiative. Hajia Ireti Kingibe is now joining us from our Abuja studio to discuss women in Nigerian politics, as well as the plight of women in the aftermath of the Boko Haram war in the northeastern parts of Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Hajia Kingibe. It's lovely to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, first of all, I have to start by asking you, why are you so drawn to male-dominated professions? First engineering and then politics.
Well, I don't know. It just happened. I've always been a science type of student, and I've been interested. My father was an engineer, and I was always interested in engineering. And as for the politics, I believe that if you think things are not right, you get involved and you try and do your bit. And that's why I joined politics.
Welcome to the show. Like Tundun said, I want to go ahead and get straight into the numbers and women in politics. And you know, politics is not a position or it's not a governance that's just reserved for men. And globally, we're seeing that there are more women who are entering politics, and the numbers are changing. In the U.S., 25% of women in government are legislative positions are made up by women. In Nigeria, we're seeing that the number is only 6%. As a woman in politics, how do you feel that we can make a better impact to close the gap and make a difference?
Well, the primary thing, women are coming out, but the attitude of the parties and the government to women has to change. I see that it's not getting better, it's progressively getting worse. In 2015, I didn't think that, I felt that my party did not have enough women in governance. I excused it on the grounds that, okay, we were more concerned with winning elections, blah, blah, blah. But I see that in 2019, there are even less women involved, and most of it boils down to the attitude of the parties.
In what way, Hajia? Can you expand? Even
appointive, for one thing, I know that most of, at least in FCT, I can speak for FCT, we didn't have primaries, so it was basically a selection process. And if you're selecting 3 people, the least you can do is throw in 1 woman, since there are women with capacity, lots of them running. That's one. Secondly, even in appointive things within the party, you'll find a situation where the party is appointing 7 people, maybe for reconciliation or whatever in the zones. They barely fit in 1 woman in the 7. So basically, the attitude of the parties have to change. I can't speak for other parties, I can only speak for mine. And really, us women in APC are profoundly disappointed with the attitude of our party to women.
Is it up to the parties to change? And if they refuse to, who will compel them? Because you've raised an issue just now about the APC primary. I read reports about violence during the primaries with some people showing up with thugs. What happens, or what can the party do to create a level playing field for candidates such as yourself, who would never resort to the use of thugs or any kind of electoral violence, to create an atmosphere of intimidation, and also a level playing field with respect to campaign financing so that more women can participate?
Well, for one thing, a certain amount of fairness would help. In FCT, take the senatorial primaries. There were 2 women running. And with all due modesty, I have to say that both of us were much better qualified than any of the men. At least we were more educated. Senator Hirat Gwadabe is a lawyer. I'm an engineer. The men are barely literate, some of them, and they prefer to give the ticket to those. And if it wasn't a question of they won, do you understand? I don't understand the criteria that the party used in deciding that a barely literate man is better than women with capacity. Those are the things I mean. I mean, there's only so much we can do, the women. One of the things I've told women to go out and do is go and vote for women everywhere you find them, regardless of party. Because until we start supporting each other, we're not going to be able to force the parties to see that we are a bloc to be reckoned with.
But regarding this issue of women should vote for women, you're putting it as a moral obligation for women to support other women at this stage in the process. But what is the onus on the female candidates to reach out to other women? Because if you recall the last United States elections, an eminently qualified candidate like Hillary Clinton, like you said, overqualified even for the job of the presidency of the United States, lost out to somebody far less qualified like Donald Trump, which is what you witnessed. But you had women splitting her votes. Women did not deliver votes to her as a bloc. A lot of women were quibbling over this, that, and the other, and chose to support other candidates, and it split her votes. So what do you say to that?
Well, in the United States, the women can afford to do that because they've got a lot of women representation there. I'm talking about here, where by the time a woman manages to get the ticket of the party for whatever position, she's usually much better qualified than any of the men she's running against. And that being the case, and since there are lots of women who, now we're talking about general election where the women are going to go out and vote for one person who's going to represent them, then I suggest that women go out and vote for women who are running for office. Once we start doing that, then we will start having more women in elective offices, and that will slowly, we might have the critical mass to make a difference. Right now, we don't.
Interesting.
And until we learn to become a bloc, a lobby bloc against the parties, we can't change anything. If the parties know that, okay, fine, women are not going to vote for them regardless of them being in the parties, they're going to have to think about it. They're going to have to start bringing out better candidates regardless of gender. Forget affirmative action. I think that they could do affirmative action, but considering that they're not even putting fairness into the whole matter, asking for the little bit extra for women is obviously asking for too much. They're not about to do it.
I have a question pertaining to just the way women are seen as a whole in Nigeria. Because of our culture, most women are seen as kind, compassionate, and more helpful and subservient, while our governance wants people that are in a more take-charge position like men are a bit more aggressive and outspoken. Do you feel that that might be a deciding factor on why women do not seem to identify with other women as being in power and representing them? Do you feel that maybe they think when women become in a position or get into a position where there is power, that might influence their decision making?
Most men do know, as you sometimes hear when they talk about it, that women are usually, how would you put it, people who are sitting in the back of the car but are actually driving the car. Women may be subservient, but they actually drive a lot of the decisions and implementation of things that happen in the home. As I tell the men when I campaign, that when a man is in trouble, the first person he goes to is a woman. If she's not his mother, she's his wife, she's his sister, she's his something. So men do recognize that women have this quality, in spite of their gentleness, that gets things done. you all know how disorganized a home without a mother is. So the fact that we are gentler does not make us less effective. You've listened to some men in the National Assembly saying if you give women a chance, the way they take charge at home and they're in control, they'll soon take over the whole National Assembly. So it's not that we believe that women cannot be effective. It's just that the way the politics is right now, one is money-based. Women are not as financially capable as the men are. There's the godfatherism and so many things. The other thing is corruption. It's much easier to ask a man to give you money and to do a lot of bad things than it is to ask a woman to do the same things. Men are a little more embarrassed to table such issues in front of women. That's the truth.
So that being said, in your opinion, with all these things being tabled, then how do we get our foot in the door and make a case for having more of us in positions where we can make that difference?
Well, one of the things that I have in mind, and we've started working on it with other women, is to create a block of women voters. We can't expect the men to just give it to us just because we say so, but by the time we become a strong pressure group, knowing that, okay, the women have put their votes in a block and they're not going to give it to any man just because he says so. They're only going to give it to candidates who represent our interests. It is something that will take a few years to do, but once we can start it and realize that we can't expect fairness from the party. I'm sorry, when I joined APC, I joined with a lot of idealism. I believed it was going to be different, it would be fair, it would do all the things that it's actually not doing. So now it is time for us women not to expect that any party is going to be fair. It is time for us to become a very strong pressure group. It's the only thing that's going to work.
Hajia, do you find that your association by marriage to one of the most powerful names in Nigerian politics, Ambassador Babagana Kingibe, has given you a head start over other women trying to make their mark in politics?
No, correction to no. I would have expected you to know that I'm Babagana's former wife, and it has not given me a head start. On the contrary.
Which is why I said association by marriage, Hajia. There was once that. So how has it been?
Either way, even when I was married to him, it did not give me a head start, and it's not giving me a head start now.
I'd like you to expand on that assumption that people would make, because people will like to jump to these conclusions, and it's quite dismissive of who you are as a person and what you've achieved as an individual.
Well, not in my constituency. In my constituency, my husband has been quite irrelevant. It's mostly me. I mean, he can influence at the national level, but not in my constituency. People in my constituency barely know him. So it is me as an individual that counts in my constituency.
It's important to note that.
Maybe other places, and it wouldn't be just him. It'll be people's attitude to women. Women have no opinions of their own. Women, you just assume that anything a woman says, her husband or some other male has told her what to do and what to think.
Exactly.
But when you know me better, that's not so.
Exactly, Hajia, which is why I raised...
my constituency, they do know me better. I've been doing politics here for the last 16 years. So
that's why I wanted to ask that question.
I would say going on 20.
Yeah, since 2003, actually, Hajia, has been reported, which is why I wanted to ask that question. Yes,
that's true.
Yes, because all your achievements, people are quick to dismiss if you or were married to such a renowned politician or were fathered by one. Veronica?
Yes, let's move on
to... It should be, if that's the case to do, then I should have been a senator a long time ago if the influence mattered.
That is true. Hajia, do you
Don't you think? Obviously,
yes, we do think so.
Absolutely.
Yes. Hajia, do you think that President Muhammadu Buhari has done enough to be re-elected as president going into the elections in February?
Isn't that for the people to decide?
It is, but since you are a woman for your party, we'd like to know your thoughts.
Well, in terms of the women, most definitely not. I think he has not done enough with regard to gender. His cabinet has, I don't know, maybe 3 women out of close to 40, maybe more. I'm definitely, absolutely not satisfied with what he has done for women. So there's no question about that. I've made my opinion very clear. I think highly of him. I've been supporting him since 2003. But I have been most disappointed in the last 3-4 years.
Let's look at the women of Borno State. And again, these assumptions and the prejudice that a lot of people have about all women and just being dismissed as submissive people in the background. With regards to northern women, it's an even stronger impression. But the facts do not support that. The Civilian Joint Task Force that's sponsored by the governor of Borno State is populated by so many women who come out to fight against Boko Haram. They don't sit on the sidelines. They come out with their children to fight. What is from your close perspective of northern women, what is your take on their plight and also how they've displayed such strength, and what can we all learn from them?
Northern women are like other women. Every woman goes to any length to protect her children. And obviously, in a situation where the community is embattled, the children are in danger, you will see that quality in the woman much more than when there's peace and quiet and the woman is just sitting at home. So I'm not surprised. And then secondly, the governor of Borno, he thinks very highly of women. He has noticed the qualities that women have. I've listened to him talk at some lectures, and he's already told us that when he gives a naira to a woman, it is better used than when he gives it to a man. So he believes in women and their ability to look after the family much better than men can.
What do you think of...
And of course, because there's Boko Haram, women, you're going to see that quality. Women are obviously going to come out, they're going to fight, they're going to die if necessary to protect their children.
What was your reaction to the recent news that the governor broke down in tears over the state of security in his state?
Truthfully, I didn't think anything of it. He was probably just frustrated and just couldn't control himself. I can understand how, you know, Boko Haram had gotten better and now it's back in full force. So obviously he was frustrated. So, and I'm also one who's not shocked that men cry. Of course they cry just like we do. So not a big deal that he cried.
Hajia, I would like to know your inclusive, objective opinion to the fact that in the states where the Boko Haram attacks have been prevalent, a lot of women and children have been displaced, having to flee. I've recently learned of a situation where a lady who fled with 10 of her kids had to be placed in a camp where along the way to get there, she actually lost a few of them. What is your take on this to making sure that there is enough provision for women and children as a whole to be safe while these attacks continue to happen?
Well, I'm sure just like most Nigerians, I find the Boko Haram issue a great shame. I think that by now we should have been able to do something about it. And personally, I don't understand why we haven't been able to. After all, many years ago, 30 months, we were able to take care of the civil war, so many things. We are renowned for a very strong military prowess. So I don't understand it. That's number one. Number two, in any situation, women and children usually suffer the most. Lack of water, lack of good medical care, war situations, lack of food in the camps, everything. Women are usually, and children, the major victims. And just like most Nigerians, I really wish that, one, Boko Haram would be taken care of as quickly as possible, and secondly, that better provisions are made for them in the IDP camps. Of course, as you can see, a lot of women get separated from their children, they lose some of them, all of it quite heart-rending. And we all feel bad about it and really want something to happen.
What are the chances of rehabilitation for these women who have had to move into the IDP camps and for when they come back and hopefully are able to resume some sort of employment. And also people like the Chibok girls who were directly affected, the Chibok girls who have been rescued, even the Dapchi girls who were rescued, with the exception of Leah Sharibu. Do you have any insights into what's been done to support them?
No, I have no idea what is being done to support them. I know that at least for the Chibok girls, some international organizations offer them scholarships. But generally, what is being done to support the women and girls in any of the situation? I don't know. It's what you see. I go to the IDP camps and I'm definitely not impressed with what I find there. So, but other than what I see on the surface, I'm not in a position to know what is being done about them.
What do you find in the IDP camps, as in what are the conditions like?
Well, you know what the conditions are like. Very bad. Very, very bad. And as I said earlier on, I'm not in a position to talk about the IDP camps or even Boko Haram. I can't remember the last time I went to Borno. Certainly 16 years or at least 10. So I'm not really not in a position to talk about Boko Haram. Okay. Other than what we all know about it.
That was before that hostility escalated. So let's go back to your political career. The APC primaries, even your primary at the FCT, all over the country, have been dogged by a lot of grievances from party faithfuls who feel that direct primaries did not work in certain situations. Other situations, indirect primaries were complained of. What do you think should be the approach of APC regarding primaries, direct or indirect?
Well, direct primaries would have been fine if we were prepared for them. It is not something we can just wake up and do. It's something we prepare for, which is that we will have updated registers, we'll have a way of voting where it will be secret ballot. Properly done, they would have been ideal. But the way they were done, it was not possible to do. At least in FCT, we did not have any primaries. It all degenerated into violence, killing and burning. So we didn't have any primaries. So even the report sent to the national was that it was inconclusive. It wasn't possible to do them. So where it's not possible to do them, and we also knew that it would not be possible to do them under the circumstance. So that's why we wanted indirect. But for whatever reason, the party decided we must do it by direct, and we obviously didn't do it, so they decided to select the candidates, which they did.
What is it that keeps you in this political career of 16 years? Different parties, different factions, but all the same result of just feeling marginalized and cheated out of what you have worked for. What keeps you inspired and focused to continue and not throw in the towel?
Well, the belief that to get Nigeria to where we want it to go, we all have to be involved. And I'm also a very tenacious person. I don't give up just because things are difficult. But I must tell you that the last 3-4 years, I'm beginning to feel that maybe where we want to get Nigeria to may not happen in my lifetime. And I'm beginning to lose some of my idealism and my passion. Because really for things to change and for it to work, we all must want what is best. But we've been subsumed in self-interest as a people. And it's not something that's unique to any party. Our policy makers must want the best. Our decision makers must also want the best. And as long as it's not that way, then it's going to be really, really difficult to move things forward. I've been trying to focus. I know that I've always felt that I do not have to be a senator to make a difference, and that's why I've always kept at it. But it's getting more and more difficult to make a difference, and I'm beginning to lose some of my commitment, I must admit.
Well, that would be a huge shame if you actually did. I hope that something happens to sort of reinvigorate that passion. Obviously, you're only human. You're going to have peaks and troughs along the journey, but I do hope that you don't lose that commitment.
Well, I think that I don't see the National Assembly could do better. Everybody could do better. Why they're not? So maybe let's try another approach. As I said, mobilizing women to become a big pressure block, things like that. I would put my energy into. But we all need to want this change. We all need to want to do what is right. And until we get there, we can't change it. And that's why I've always felt that the National Orientation Agency has always been key to the development of this country. But most presidents have never seen that. They've never seen that it's critical to be able to get into the minds of other human beings and to influence their minds. How many things do you do in a day that you didn't really want to do, but somebody talked you into it? And we need to do that to create nationalism and patriotism across board, to make people want to be better. Yes. And until we can do that, I'm beginning to despair.
Hadjia, I have to agree with you that I feel change is indeed the narrative as we move forward, no matter who becomes our president. But since there are so many issues on the table for change regarding from education to security, what do you feel women should demand, and what should be the top priority questions we should look for and seek for answers from our government or our next leader?
It's kind of late in the day to demand it, but we can, for one thing, I personally feel that we need to decentralize somewhat so that the little units can work better. As it is now, we're not working. Everything is degrading. Cheating has become institutionalized. You pay for internet, they turn it on for a week, they turn it off. When you yell and scream, they turn it back on. And it's like that across board for everything. There's nothing that is easy and smooth. And I get the impression, and this is not about any particular government, that the interest of the Nigerian people is usually the least important parameter in most decisions. And I must say, as I tell people, why blame government when you're not willing to do your own little bit? So why then do you expect the government to do better than you are? We make up the government.
So can we have more details on this voting bloc, this female lobbying group that you're assembling? How do women get involved?
Well, what I'm hoping to do with other women, we've started, it's just that we haven't put the effort that we need to put into it, and I think we can do so in the next couple of years, which is to have groups of women in senatorial districts and move that down to local governments where you register women voters, where you are able to talk to them, where you are able to decide on block that all our female votes are going to go for X for local government chairman, X for councillor, X for senator, X for House of Reps. And based on that, you can then become a force and force issues. But until you can force issues, then nobody's minding us. And so obviously they're not going to mind us. We have to make them.
Yes, power is not given to
all women, eventually they will start lobbying women to register. And also the women themselves have to be willing. Obviously, any woman who comes to register for this block of women voters will know that, yes, I'm registering because I want to make a difference. I know that in FCT, the women want to do that, but then FCT is different. We're dealing with 75% of FCT's voters are enlightened, they're literate, they're educated, they're aware. So that's different. We're not typical of all of Nigeria.
Thank you, Hadjia. Thank you so much for your time and all your insights. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.